Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Ritual Madness Podcast! The best of the underground! Big Madness, your ritual!
What's happening? Do me a favor. Check out Outlaw Saint's Tattoo Collective, 3500 Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis. Let me see here, 612-353-4755. That's lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. And if you do me a favor, I have been posting pictures of the tattoo machines that got taken out of Jason's tattoo shop. So if you guys want to take a look at that, you see any of that stuff going around, contact Jason again at 612-353-4755. Thieves suck ass, so make sure you, if you can help them out, please do. You're looking for some tattoo work, please go down to Outlaw Saints Tattoo Collective. Thank you. Check out, let me see here, the Shred Den. Open Monday through Friday, 5 to 8 p.m., Saturdays 11 to 5 p.m., 9100 85th Avenue North, Suite 100, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, 763-350-2191, www.theshredden.net. Check those guys out for some pointy guitars and all of that good stuff. I'm going to actually do this one first and then back off of here. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
What's happening? How you guys been? We've got the guys from Outlaw Saint in here. Why don't you guys go around the table and let me see here and introduce yourselves, if that would work.
Oh, I'm Tank, frontman, singer, lyricist, showman, something like that.
Hey, I'm Eric, but my nickname is Cavs, Kavs. So that's kind of what that's what they call me.
Tell me you have really sexy calves, and that's why.
You know, I get asked it a lot, and I actually do not. But I have a long last name, and that's where Cavs came.
Oh, gotcha.
Not as fun as having good calves, but so you can call me Eric or Cavs. Just don't call me late for dinner.
You totally aged yourself there.
I probably did.
That's the spot right there.
And I'm Ryan. I'm sure you people know me. Drummer, third stint in Outlaw Saint, and we'll get into that.
Third tenure, yeah, tenure.
Third tenure. But have appeared on every single release.
Yes.
Nice. That's good, right?
Yep.
Sometimes not the primary drummer, but I do have some material on every single release we've done. So
That's awesome, dude. Oh yeah, nothing wrong with that. So I guess my question is, man, like how Tank, this is your baby pretty much, right?
Yes.
This is like you've had multiple changes in lineup and everything like that.
Yes. The only band out there that's had more lineup changes than me is LA Guns, and that's only because there was two versions of it. So I guess part of it, beginning and all that, part of it was me. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that. It's just like I had a vision,
Sure.
And it's just like I was bound and determined to do that vision. And
Right.
I always tried to work with other people.
Sure.
With band members I wanted to contribute, but a lot of people that came in were going like they wanted to drastically change the band.
Right.
Just for example, we had one guitar player came in and said, "Oh, I do bluesy, hard rock," and then when he had practice, he'd play stuff like Pantera,
Right.
Type thing. And it's just like I'm trying to keep an on thing, and I guess I'll be the first to admit, it made me, look like I was some sort of egotistical,
Sure.
Type thing. But I mellowed out. I finally found a lineup that shares the exact same vision that I have, and I'm willing, now I'm more willing to, listen to other ideas.
Sure. And I suppose if you got a lot of ideas and a sound that you got stuck in your head, you want to kind of stay to that, stay true to it, especially if you're the one, fueling the whole thing, and writing all, what I mean? If you're writing lyrically, and do you play instruments?
No. I go completely by groove.
Okay.
So it's just like I go by riffs.
Okay.
So instead of measures, it's just like, hey, this is a certain riff. You repeat that riff like 3 times. And
Sure.
that's where the
Structure.
solo goes. Yep, structure. Yep.
Gotcha.
So if you play a note and I can match it, or something like that,
Sure.
but I couldn't tell you what A or B or anything like that is.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Feelings the best way. I feel like it's like. Less is more, even. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't care for stuff that's trying to jam too much things into too much.
Right.
if that
Less is more.
Yeah.
and the good thing is knowing Tank it'll be 10 years this year that I've known Tank.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten good at what we call Tankanese.
Right.
So I can interpret when he's trying to get an idea and the guitar player is looking very confused. I can interpret and say, "Oh, he means this." And, I can kind of.
Now that's a difficult thing, isn't it? It's hard to find people that speak your language when it comes to that stuff, and it's even harder to keep the people that can speak that language.
I've learned that one all too well.
Well, and a lot of times, man, we were talking about American Head Charge before we went on the air, and it's kind of like, that's how a lot of people looked at those cats, back in the day. Like they were they were jerks. They were, they were assholes because they didn't mingle with a lot of the crowd, that was they were coming up together. All of us were coming up together, and they were all about business. So they stayed on track. They wanted to reach a goal and do what they wanted to do. And that can be, you can be labeled, hard to work with. You can, I think Greg Moog had that same type of thing too, back in the day. I think all of us that have had a vision that type or another have been like, I remember like feeling kind of sad when I found out, one of my past band members went to another band, and then they're like, "Yeah, I heard you're really hard to work with," and it's like, "Wow, am I really that hard to work with?" And you really, in the writing process, it's very difficult because if you don't have someone that speaks your language, and when you're jamming with people too, it is so tough to find folks that are on the same page. You can't walk into a room and just be like, "Hey, we're all cool, everything's jiving good." There's gonna be conflict.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And conflict resolution is difficult at points. Now, I always ask this of people that haven't been on the podcast. What was going on in your childhood? What were you listening to? What were your folks listening to? Brothers, sisters, friends? What pushed you towards the style of music that you're playing right now?
I'll let you guys start because mine's a little bit long.
Yeah, yours is extensive. Well, I think I'm unique a little bit out there, in that my father was a musician.
Yeah.
So he was in bands the entire time, I was growing up. So I was exposed to a lot of different stuff.
What did your pops play?
He was a keyboard player. Started on an accordion.
Okay.
But also played keyboards.
Do you play polka like a motherfucker?
What?
Do you play polka like a motherfucker?
He's from northern Minnesota. Of course he played.
Nice.
He could do the beer barrel,
right?
All that shit.
Love it.
I love that shit. Dude, weddings when I was a kid, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that was it, man.
Yeah.
These old folks would like look at all the young folks like, "What is this rock and roll shit?" You roll out the barrel, dude. They were getting fucked up, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, we're talking polka. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, so I was exposed to a lot of that, and he was playing in what was called then a top 40 band.
Oh, okay.
So whatever's in the top 40, that's what they played. So it was a lot of different stuff. I mean, there was a lot of country because it was like especially when you get into like the early 80s,
right,
early mid 80s,
yeah.
It was all the Alabama and the Oak Ridge Boys and
yep.
all that, which is still qualified as good country,
right?
I think.
I still love A Rainy Night. It's all good,
yeah.
dude.
Robert, yeah,
Eddie
Rabbit.
Eddie Rabbit.
Cocaine
Yep.
Daddy, baby.
Exactly. So pretty much in that environment, by the time I was 10 or 11, I could set up a PA. I knew 3 different forms of poker, and I could make a pretty good dry martini.
Damn.
Put it to you that way. And you can take from that whatever you want. So yeah, I'd be the one who would go with him, and we'd go to the Richfield American Legion. We'd set up all the gear and do all that. So yeah, so I was exposed to a lot of stuff. Somewhere along the line, and I was watching the interview that I did with you 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this. Because my question was, what was the first album you bought with your own money?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow we got onto Kiss, because I think yours was Kiss. And so somewhere along the line, I got a bunch of Kiss albums, Destroyer being one of them. That's the one I gravitated towards. And then probably mid-80s, 86, 87, somewhere in there, I discovered glam rock. I don't know exactly how or exactly where, but my soundtrack walking to junior high was Van Halen 5150, the 87 Whitesnake album, Def Leppard.
Which Def Leppard?
Let's see, was Hysteria out yet?
No.
So it must
When did you say
it?
it? What time did you?
So this would have been 86 through 88.
That's got to be Pyromania.
So it's
I believe so.
Pyromania.
Well, Hysteria was 87, so it's possible.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that.
Oh
early.
yeah, it didn't get big till 88.
Right. Yeah.
It actually.
Oh,
was
okay.
87.
All right.
Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. I knew that album back when Forge all the guitar solos.
Sure.
So that was the stuff I was listening to. And then, as things go on, you progressively get heavier. And then I did that for a while. And then I went the opposite way. And I went on about 15-year classic rock trek. And that started with the Monterey Pop Festival box set, which I got in 92.
Yeah.
And then it was Jimi Hendrix and Jefferson Airplane, all that, and discovered Pink Floyd somewhere along the line. And
Did you enjoy Otis Redding's set?
The
He was such a
master.
dude. He was such a different vibe than everything else that was on that whole deal.
But
I
he's still
just watched that a documentary about him recently, and I was like, wow. I remember seeing part of his playing in Vegas when we went to the Hard Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And I stood there, and my mom was a Otis Redding fan, so I'm like standing there, dude, and I'm just tearing up, welling up, like I could feel the energy off this piece of a plane, you know, the trip. Sorry, I'll interrupt the whole time.
Oh,
That's all right.
What I
Not a
do.
problem at all.
I'm used to riding with him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so then it was that. And then actually what got me back into metal was actually my stepson, because I was in a relationship for a very long time. The girl I was with had a previous child, whatever. And he started getting into probably early 2000s, started getting into, it was, Korn and Lamb of God and 3 Days Grace.
Sure.
All of that stuff, Mudvayne. And me being the good stepfather I am, saying, oh, you like this band? Okay, let me go get everything by that band.
Right.
And we'll just add it to the collection. So, yeah, and then I discovered local stuff, and I was like, well, I didn't know this scene existed. Fine,
Right.
okay. So, yeah, I mean, I and then Britpop was in there. I mean, I listened to a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And always have. So
now with your drum stuff, like what was some of your like influences, like playing drums early on? Like
early on, it was, I mean, the first people I can remember hearing and going, God, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Were your Charlie Benantes, your Dave Lombardos,
Okay.
your Nick Mensahs.
Sure.
Like all those guys. But I quickly realized, oh, I can't do that. So let me try something. Let me just try to be steady, and I'll work on that. So.
Right. So then you pulled out some Bad Company or some
Bad
fucking
Company,
Free. Dude, Simon Kirk is the shit, dude.
Oh,
that
Simon
dude's
Kirk.
just fucking. You know what I mean? He is, dude. He's so solid, man. It's unbelievable. I just got my buddy Gooch played. What is it? All Right Now, right? He just posted a video of it, right? And so I'm like, holy fuck, I forgot Paul Rogers was in this band. You know what I mean? And I'm like, holy fuck. I went back and bought all the records, you know what I'm saying? And like religiously listened to Free. And then I'm like, holy fuck, this guy created Bad Company too. And then you go into that and it's like that whole story of that cat is just one of my vocalist friends, he's a beautiful voice, dude, great singer. And I was always like doing the heavy shit, you know what I mean? And I'm like, dude,
Cookies Monster
how,
Girls.
how the fuck can you do that shit? And he's like, anything that has Paul Rogers on it. He's like, Bad Company, Free, any of that shit. He goes, just put it in there and just watch how he enunciates and, puts his sentences together. Holy fuck. Once I got into it, I was like, I know what he means now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, like the foundation, after you realize, like, I can't go a million miles an hour, what was kind of some of the stuff that was pushing you?
Well, by the time I realized that, it was early 90s, so of course grunge was everywhere. Sacrilege saying, I was never a huge Nirvana fan.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. When STP came out, I loved STP. What the hell is her name?
Courtney?
Their first album was Diva. Second album was Wallflower. My Sister's Machine.
Okay.
Well, lesser known, but I really liked them too. And it was actually Dave Abraziz, if that's how you pronounce it, who was Pearl Jam's drummer at the time, who really, when I get in my busier moments, you can thank Dave Abraziz, because but he was just fluid. I mean, watching him, it was just like.
Is he the same guy that played in Temple of the Dog as well?
No, that was Matt Cameron.
Okay.
Dave Abraziz was the one they did. He joined after 10. He wasn't on 10. He did that tour, but he did the next 2 albums. So he was on Versus and Vitality.
Oh, okay. 2 solid albums.
And then he wanted to be a rock star, and the other ones wanted to do like political shit and whatever. And he's like, I just want to be a rock star. And they were like, no, go away.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay. Which is sad. I mean, the dude, thinking about it, he's probably my biggest playing influence.
Well, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
What did he go to do after that? I mean, when you leave Pearl Jam, what do you do if you want to be a fucking rock star and you leave Pearl Jam? Like what?
He did do at least a band or two after that. Just recently, within the last year.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel, and he does like drum covers and stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, he's just kind of hanging out and doing his thing. And, another later in life influence, Ian Pace, and just Deep Purple in general.
Yeah.
Ian Pace, I will say this till the day I die, completely underrated. Like you see the best drummer lists, very rarely is Ian Pace on it.
Right.
It's always Ginger Baker and John Bonham and Keith. Which
Right.
were
Yeah.
But it's like Ian fucking Pace, dude, fool. Just it's absolute fucking
Underrated.
and the only consistent member of Deep Purple
Right.
for the last 50, 60
Well, except for Blackmore.
No,
Was it-
Ian Pace has been in every single lineup. Blackmore
Moved in and out, right?
moved in and out.
Oh, he did. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
MX is this from Minnesota? Yes, these guys are from Minnesota. Looks like the dude wearing a Starbucks shirt. What does that say? Dead End Hayride? Oh, it's a dead end Hayride shirt. Yeah. Let me see. here.
Not Starbucks.
Whatever happened to American Head Charge? American Head Charge is defunct at the moment. Their bass player passed away a few years back, and they just kind of disbanded. And I don't believe there's any plan of doing any shows. Or I think there was a couple shows planned, but it didn't work out. Weren't they planning on doing a couple before COVID or around COVID time or something?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly. But hey, thanks for joining us, Sam. I appreciate it. And that's our chat for this moment. But
Yay.
thanks, folks, for watching and joining us. How about you, sir? What do we got, Mr. Cavs?
Well,
What was going on in your household as a kid? Like, what were you listening to? What were your folks listening to?
my folks, big Beatles fans.
Yeah,
Beach Boys.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. They're not super musical, but when I was 6, I saw Kiss
okay. Do
on TV, and that was it.
you remember the show? What was it on?
They were on Saturday Night Live.
Okay,
Yeah, I was staying over at the neighbor's house, and
that means you got to stay up late, right?
then we got to stay up late.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his parents didn't care, and saw Kiss, and then we just sat there for 3 minutes and didn't move, and said, "This is scary and awesome."
Yeah.
Scary but awesome. So, ever since then it was Kiss, and I got Dynasty in kindergarten. And
Let's go Kiss, dude.
which is funny because that's so many people's like least favorite Kiss record, and I love it because it was my first one.
Right.
So
Double Platinum was my first one that I bought myself. You know,
with your own money.
Yeah, my uncle owned Kiss Alive 1
Sure.
on 8-track.
Yeah.
So I got to hear that. Now, my best friend, who just actually texted me before we started, my best friend when I met him, I think when I was 5, and his dad was a huge Elvis fan, right?
Sure.
But his mom bought him every Kiss album. So we really got to take in the Kiss, man.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've absolutely loved the shit. I mean, did it change how you looked at the whole?
It did, because I was one of those. I thought they wore makeup 24/7, and I hoped that they did.
Right.
And I was sad when they took it off.
Yeah.
Because they should have put it back on
Right.
sooner than later.
Right.
But still a huge fan. Saw Kiss when I was 12 on the Asylum tour, and just the whole shock rock thing was huge for me.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper,
Okay.
massive fan, and early Motley. You know, I bought Shout at the Devil was the first record that I bought with my own money. Still one of my favorite records of all time.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so
Raw, dude.
so
That shit was
evil,
raw.
and it's
Yeah.
so metal, and it's
Yeah.
dirty, and it's awesome, and it's dark, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it makes you want to smoke cigarettes and drive a Camaro and have a hot girlfriend and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
So,
It's rock and roll right there.
Yeah.
You're speaking rock and roll language. Right there.
absolutely. So definitely Kiss early on. Huge Ramones fans.
Yeah.
Love the Ramones. I play a white Fender bass like Dee Dee Ramone, wear it as low as possible, which annoys people, and then I hold it even lower.
Yeah.
So No pick, 4-string, fingers only, and
Hey, the chicks like that, baby. Woo!
well, I'm short, so it looks cooler that way.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah.
Billy Sheehan rules, and he holds it way up here like a ukulele, and he's phenomenal. And he can get away with that, but I would look silly doing that.
I
So
was just listening to Bump and Grind.
yeah,
David Lee Roth, dude.
sure,
You know, and I'm
sure,
just listening to that, post Van Halen
yeah,
with Vi,
yes.
Sheehan.
Greg Bissonette.
Yeah, the drummer. I had to look that cat up to see
Yeah.
where he came from. But dude,
Sure.
He
Wow,
played with
dude.
big bands,
Right.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
he played with Maynard Ferguson,
and now he's with Ringo Starr's band.
and now he's with the All Star Band. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah. He's one of Ringo Starr's guys.
Are we talking about Bob Rock, guitar player for David Lee Roth's band?
No.
Greg Bissonette.
Oh,
the drummer on this first
Gotcha. Okay.
Eat 'em and smile, right?
Eat 'em and
That's what-
Smile and
Yeah.
Skyscraper. And, yeah,
I mean, what a phenomenal band.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean that.
If you wanted to give an FU to Van Halen,
Right.
he'd
That's
fucking-
the way to do it
Sure.
right there,
fucking
right?
dude.
They should have made a record called "We Rule." because
We
they
Rule.
did. And they did, and rightfully so. That they were cocky, and they were absolutely. So,
He
yeah.
still sounded like the Dave of old. That's what I really
Oh, yeah,
enjoyed about that album too. And,
Yeah,
and Vi brought a whole new vibe to it, and it was
just weirder, crazier.
it felt funkier to me than what
Sure.
what Van Halen
absolutely,
was
yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And Sheehan's gonna add to that. Bissonette's gonna add to that shit. It's a totally different dynamic, but it still sounded
still
in that
Diamond
vein.
Dave,
In that vein is pretty amazing.
That's such an awesome lineup, and there was rumors they were going to do it again, and they were fighting over money. Of course, money wrecks everything. And
Right.
It never happened, but I wish it would have happened.
So you've got a bit of rock and roll. You got a bit of punk in there.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
bass playing. Like, what are some folks that like really pushed you as far as bass playing? Did you start as guitar?
Well, yeah, I did. I got a guitar when I was 14, and I wanted to be Eddie. I wanted to be Steve Vai.
Sure.
I wanted to be Jeff Young from Megadeth, and I promise you I wasn't. So, I just tried to keep up with the kids in school who were really good,
Yeah.
and some of them were like they just like they got it quicker than kids learn faster than others.
Yeah, I want to punch him, fuckers.
Yeah, the ones
do,
who were
dude.
really good. Like
Sometimes, yeah.
like some of them were really good, and I'm like, oh my god, you can play Eruption, and you're 12,
Right.
and I'm learning.
Yeah. Smoke on the water.
Smoke on the water,
Yeah.
and living after midnight.
Right.
And so when I got to high school, nobody was playing bass, so I bought a bass
Sure.
with my own money from working at this grocery store, and then everybody wanted me in their band. They didn't care if I could play or not. They're like, "Oh, you have a bass. You're in my band." No, you're in my band. So,
We can relate to this.
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
It's a hot commodity. I don't understand why more people don't play bass. I mean, obviously it's not.
yeah.
But still, man, you're gonna find work. You're gonna have.
You're
You could
gonna-
have 6 bands,
And
and
you-
nobody. Honestly, you could have a different persona in each band, a different colored bass in each fucking band, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Was that dude in?" No. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
He didn't have glasses on last time. You know what I mean? He didn't have that top hat on last time. You know?
Very
Oh,
true.
If I might add just one thing, a nice little tidbit of information that a lot of people don't know. When David Lee Roth did Eat 'em and Smile,
Yeah.
Van Halen turned around, and that's why they named their album "Oh You Ate One Too."
Oh.
It was sort of their call and release to.
And I didn't even know that until Tank told me
I
that
was
like
this
a year
many
ago.
years old.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So then bass became, and I thought learning songs was easier to
Yeah,
me
yeah.
on bass than on guitar. And there's 4 strings, and I'm not a 5-string guy.
Right.
Definitely not a 6-string.
Well, you
guy.
can always pull it back too, right? So you can just play the root,
Yeah,
and then you can. I mean, a lot
absolutely.
of guitar players. I don't know. I always go to Paul Gray from Slipknot because I'd known him a long time, and knowing his play style was like a guitar player. He followed the guitarist quite well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's very good at bass. So it was just kind of one of those things where I'm not opposed to someone that is just keeping the pocket. You know what I mean? Just laying
There's
it down.
nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all, man. I heard somebody else shitting on Gene Simmons' play style, and I was watching them Midnight Special,
Sure.
old fucking 70s
yeah.
shit, and they killed it, dude.
Yeah.
And he was just, basic, right on the fucking money the whole time, you
Sure.
know?
He
Yeah,
wrote
because
he
it's
wrote
solid.
some
Yeah.
he wrote some good walk-in bass lines,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with. Yes, he's had a bad rap,
Sure.
and obviously he doesn't care. But I
Right.
mean, bass-wise, he's had a bad rap.
Guy walks around with a giant money bag hat on and shit, you know?
Which he
certainly does.
copyrighted that symbol.
I wouldn't doubt it.
He owns that. You're right. He owns.
He
the
tried to
symbol.
copyright the horns too, but
Yeah.
that didn't
Probably
quite work out.
fucking owns everything,
He
dude.
bought the word orange. So if you say the word orange in a movie, supposedly
you
he
own
gets
money?
paid.
Wow. What about the amp company?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd be
play an
going
orange.
I'd
I
be
play an
going after
orange.
them motherfuckers. Hey, you know that I own that shit, right?
He's gonna send me a letter. I'll have to get another job.
Don't worry, he'll never see this podcast. He don't give a shit. Oh, that's funny. Dax C says, "Hi, Padre. Hi, man. What's happening?" Let me see here. Oh, that's my daughter. That's funny. Now to you, Mr. Tank.
Oh, you're ready for a?
Let's go. Dude.
All right,
That's what
all right.
that's
So-
what we're here for, right?
Okay, cool. So,
Comfortable.
yeah, you better get very comfortable. So,
Grab my drink.
there we go. So, I used to listen to nothing but what my parents listened to, which was pre-Beatles rock and roll. So we're talking about Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, Carl Perkins, and they hated the Beatles. So when the Beatles hit the scene, they switched to country. So old school country, Chris Christopherson, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, the whole 9 yards.
Outlaw country.
Outlaw country, yep, the best country. And then go up until 1986, I was living in a small town called Ashby. And at the time, it was just like no one liked country. And one of my classmates felt, kind of bad that I was the only one listening to country. So he hands me a mixtape,
Yeah.
original mixtape cassette with 4 songs on it. And I'm listening to these songs. There's something about these songs that never heard it before, but I loved it, right? And it's just like one of those songs I thought, and what I mean by thought was I'd heard of but never actually heard,
Okay.
was a Rolling Stone Satisfaction.
Okay.
And it's just like, hey, this is really cool. So the next day, I said, dude, that one song, is that Rolling Stone Satisfaction? He's going like, no, that's Poison's I Want Action. 4 songs off of Look What the Cat Drag Did.
Right.
So I Want Action, Play Dirty, Talk Dirty to Me, and Look What the Cat Drag Did. Immediately hooked. I mean, ever since then, I was listening to nothing but 80s. And 2 years later, he introduces me to Appetite for Destruction. And, well, the rest I say is history.
Right.
But it's just, I was in the class of 93. And literally half my class was still 80s and half was grunge.
Right.
So we were like the center. And to me, it was just like,
What part of the world is this in?
okay, so it's West Central Minnesota.
Okay.
So if you go on 94 westbound towards Fargo,
Gotcha.
it's halfway in between Fergus Falls and Alexandria.
Okay.
300 people. Everyone knew everyone. If you farted on one side, they knew about it on the other end 2
Right.
seconds later.
Right.
And it's just like me. Up until that point, or even at that point, I was a geek in high school. I mean, literally everything short of the pocket protector and the high water pants.
Right.
And I got pictures to prove it. And it's just like I've always been bullied. It's just like a blah blah. And this new music, it was just like it was really upbeat. It was really and my hormones were all racing and like, oh, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Right,
Blah
right.
blah blah. And it's just like when grunge came around, it was like all of a sudden there was, oh, would jury me, blah, blah. I really didn't care for that. I still liked
Right.
the 80s.
And that killed the fucking 80s music,
It did.
man.
It was bound to happen, though.
Right.
Hindsight being 2020.
Sure.
But it's just like at the time when I graduated in 93, I was going like, I want to be the next Guns N' Roses. I was big time Guns N' Roses.
Sure.
And grunge to me was the enemy. And I often joke that grunge, one of the reasons I hated grunge was because, grunge was the reason I couldn't get laid in my 20s. So, but it's just like, so, this is going to sound morbid and some people might, shoot me for this, but when Kurt Cobain, passed away. It's just like I'm going, okay, now here's a chance to just like
Come back, right?
come back,
Yeah.
blah blah. And then all of a sudden, 1993, here comes Korn,
Right. New metal.
right? And I'm going like, no. So I was so sure that I wanted to wait to travel because I knew that I'm going to find the right band. I'm going to be the next Guns N' Roses,
Right.
not realizing at the time
Yeah.
that they were gutter punks.
Right.
Blah blah. To me, they were just badasses.
Right.
And it was just
Wait. Who was Gutter Punks?
Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
They were basically they lived on the streets,
Sure.
type thing. And to me, they were just badasses. I just loved them.
Right.
And I tried doing it, and I was
When
going
you live in Hollywood though, and you live on the streets, it's not really gutter punk. You know what I mean?
right.
Like especially back then too, because I mean Motley Crue, who the fuck else was out there doing that shit? You know what I mean? Like
Even Poison was.
Poison, fucking all of them cats at that particular time, they were scrounging and scraping to get through. It blows me away that it's made such a circle too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Guns N' Roses is still fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they still put on a great show. They've had different guitar players involved. They've had, you know what I mean? A slew of different fucking members involved. I don't know. I've always loved Guns N' Roses. I thought it was. They
Oh
were
yeah. To me, it was just like the one thing that I respected about Guns N' Roses, and one of the reasons why they're one of my biggest influences,
Sure.
was because they were honest about who they were.
Sure.
At the time, you had all these bands. Oh, we have to have a rocker. We have to have a ballad. We have to wear hair. Have our hair
Sure.
teased up to here. And we got to be commercial.
Right.
Blah blah. And Guns N' Roses comes along, and their debut album had the most F words, of
Right.
any most uncommercial album of all time. And it became big because everyone's going like, these guys are the real deal.
Right.
And because it was different.
It was different. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were basically, in my opinion, they were the updated version of Aerosmith.
I was just going to say that actually. That
They
they
certainly
seem to me like the standout.
Yeah, the
From that
natural
point.
progression
Yeah,
from,
yeah.
from Aerosmith, who were
Yeah.
different for their time. Yeah, for sure.
So it's just, that's when I started, with the idea of the essence of Outlaw Saint.
Sure.
But this is before even the name even came up.
Sure.
That's just like, that's what I've always wanted. I enjoy the rawness. I've seen some of the 80s bands that I've seen in concert had the best concerts. It's just like I saw Warrant after Dog Eat Dog when Janie was still in the band.
Sure.
When they came back to the bars.
Okay. Where'd you
And
see him?
I Iron Horse
Okay.
and Sharkies. And the first show that I saw of theirs, I thought was so cool because they had just come off the stadiums and they're eye level with the audience. It's
Yeah.
just like, no egos
Through
whatsoever.
the roots. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all they could do back then. They couldn't fucking,
Yeah.
Yep.
get
Had
the big
to.
gigs anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Janie Lane, he was this is back when you could smoke in the bar.
Yeah.
He was borrowing cigarettes, bumming off cigarettes from people in the audience.
Yeah.
One person gave him a drink and he takes it and he hands it back. Hang on a second. Turns around, and then when he turns back, the guy had already drank the shot.
Yeah.
He's going like, dude, I was going to toast with you. He has this big bottle of Jack, and he's going like, this is a man's drink.
Right.
And that night he had two people in the audience get up and sing two different songs.
Oh, nice.
One guy did Cat Scratch Fever, another guy did Rock and Roll.
Sure.
And to me, it was just like, wow.
What was your first concert, Tank?
Rock concert or concert?
Either. Both.
Either, okay. First one, Waylon Jennings.
Okay.
And then soon after, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Okay.
My first rock concert wasn't until 92. Def Leppard and Ugly Kid Joe at the State Fair.
Oh, nice.
And then I saw Poison in 99.
Yeah.
That's what changed things around for me. Was they had, yes, they had, pyrotechnics, they had, different things, but they didn't need it.
Sure.
As soon as they hit the stage, all four of them were just, wow.
Right.
And to me, that always, I'm going like, at the time, it was just like, I've been doing open jams for about 3 years.
Right.
And I started realizing, okay, I'm not the best vocalist in the world, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw them, I'm going, that's it right there. I may not be the best singer in the world, but I'm going to concentrate on the show.
Right.
And I came back, and over the years, it's just like, I started building my high energy stage show,
Sure.
and apparently a lot of people like it now.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that. That's fucking awesome. You're making positive fucking steps forward, man. That's good shit.
Absolutely.
So how long? So how long is had from the beginning of Outlaw Saint?
2000. Well, technically, we first got together, original lineup 2010 summer. We didn't have our first show until 2011.
Okay.
We opened up for a band called 32 Headshots and Matricus over at the Star Bar in Columbia Heights.
Yeah. Like the old Star Bar, or like kind of the middle of the road Star Bar, where it was just the little bar.
It was the little bar.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we had fun that night, and we just build on and we build on, and members gone and went. I became really focused. I'm going like, we got to be the next Guns N' Roses. I mean, I was going to the point where I was going like, okay, we have to have one guitar player that plays a Les Paul through a Marshall. We have to have another guitar player that plays a hollow body Les Paul through a Marshall.
Right.
It's just like, and so the first 2 albums were basically like that. Never Saw It Coming, and then Failure's Not an Option. Yeah, Failure was definitely a failure. Good album. The guy who did it for us did a great job, but it's just we were meant to go down. For me to realize, okay, you want to know something? I did something wrong, blah blah blah, and I learned from that mistake.
I was not on that one.
No, he was.
So what was the why do you feel like it was a failure? I mean, I feel like every time that you get in the studio, or any time that you have the ability to record what you're doing, is always a learning
Right.
lesson for you. I mean, it can be anyway.
It can be. Okay, well, let's go back. Let's go back to the first album. Because
he can explain it just as well, so he was there for all of these.
Okay, so 2014, we'll go back a year before. 2014, I hadn't been in a band in a while.
Right.
And my girlfriend was kind of like, you should probably, do something, you're whatever. So I was like, okay. So I went and found this band called Smudged.
Okay.
They were looking for a drummer, metal cover band. I was like, okay. Went in there, auditioned on my 40th birthday, got the gig. We didn't do a gig. We didn't do a show for a year because our bass player was a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And it was never good enough.
Right.
And me and the guitar player, Jerry, is just like, let's fucking go.
Right.
We have 45 minutes. Let's just play anywhere.
Right.
Anyway, so roughly a little over a year later, coming to practice one time, and it's just me and Jerry, and he's sitting there and he's like, dude, I'm going to wait for the rest of the band to come, but I have something to say. Literally 2 seconds later, he's like, okay, I'll tell you. I joined another band. And I half jokingly said,
I'm coming with you.
Are they looking for a drummer? And he was like, as a matter of fact, they are. And I was like, okay. So we had our practice, and literally on our way home in the truck, we called Tank, set up an audition for what, like a couple days later? That weekend or something?
Yep.
Go in, jam with the guys, get the gig. This is in late February, early March, somewhere in there.
Somewhere like, yep.
2015. Literally 2 weeks later, we're on stage.
Few weeks.
And about a week and a half after that, we're in the studio making the first album. I'd literally been in the band less than a month.
Pushing,
man. In the studio.
I was yes, I will be the first to admit I planned things way ahead of time. I was once in a cover band, and even before the band was even formed, even before I had the members, I had the first 5 years all figured out.
That's usually how it works, though, man.
The man knows how to plan.
That's how it works.
So yeah, we did some shows. That first stint lasted a year and a half, give or take. And this is after Jerry left. You remember?
Yep.
No, Jerry. This is after he left, and then it was just a 4-piece for a while, and I think we eventually got Dave in for a little bit.
Yep.
Anyway, and then I left, and then they went on, and several lineup changes later, I think you gave me a call.
Yep.
Saying, I could, you know, we're starting to write this album, and I could really use your help. And I'm like,
with the writing or with like what was?
We were looking for a drummer.
Okay.
well, you were looking for a drummer,
Yep.
and you were in the process of writing the album.
Yep.
And I don't know, like I remember coming back and almost going directly into recording.
Yep. You actually
It was
came in
very
to
quick, yeah.
record Rock and Roll Queen
Oh yeah.
as a fill-in, you know, because we were that was the first song that we did,
Right.
and then eventually it was like he was going like, oh, might as well just join the band again.
Yeah, at that point, because then more songs started coming, and I'm like, okay, I can do this and this. I might as well just join again.
10-year number 2.
10-year number 2, and that was failure and option. Failure is not an option.
Yep.
Which was a rock opera.
Yep, a raunchy rock opera. So the idea is that try to imagine Guns N' Roses doing their version of Operation Mindcrime.
Okay.
Exactly.
So and you felt like that was a failure?
Well, I'm not going to name names, but I'm just going to say that.
Don't name names. That's bad.
Yeah. Not all members of the band at the time were on the same playing level.
Right. Okay.
And
which is common, right? So it's
Yeah.
common when you get.
and it really showed.
Yeah.
And so
In the recording process.
in the
it really-
recording
okay,
process,
gotcha.
okay. And when we got it made, I made the mistake. So there's a place online called sleazerocks.com,
Okay.
and they review CDs.
Uh-huh.
Type thing. And they said in their liner notes, they're going like, okay, well, we don't know if we're going to get to it right away. You know, we got all these So strictly based on that, I was going like, okay, I'm just going to do something that's going to grab their attention,
Sure.
type thing, right? To see if it works.
Right.
So on the mail envelope that I gave them in red and green marker, I'm going like, this is Outlaw Saints raw and raunchy rock opera. That's all I said. I didn't say we were the best, or anything like that.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
And literally, not even a week later, they reviewed it. And on the review, they were going like, okay, well, he grabbed our attention. He wanted our attention. Careful what you wish for.
Oh shit.
It was not good.
It was not good. He
not.
totally tore that thing apart.
Yeah.
And also at the time, I had a very, shall we say, acquired taste for vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot better over the years.
Sure.
And I've been doing, breathing techniques, and I quit drinking, quit smoking, and breathing, stuff. So I'm getting better.
Sure.
But at the time, it was just like I was singing in monotone.
Right.
And, I had a very limited range. I
Right.
mean, not even one octave.
Right.
And baritone. So it's just like, and it was just like, yeah, it sort of showed,
Sure.
in the recording itself.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was so obsessed with it's got to sound like, this, Guns N' Roses, blah, blah. And one thing leads to another. And a few years later, we're trying out another guitar player, and he's going like, okay, this is what you say you want to sound like. And he's playing something, blah, blah, blah. And then he switches a few things, but this is what you actually sound like.
Right.
And he plays something completely different.
Right.
He says, if you're looking for the other one, I'll do it. And that's when I finally realized, because everyone was telling me, you got to do this, you got to do this, there were some people were giving me constructive criticism.
Sure.
But I was so intent, it's just like, nope. It's just like, everyone hated Guns N' Roses. There were people that didn't like them, they had
Yeah.
I made up all these excuses. And I finally realized that, it's just like, I strayed from it. So it's just like, okay, so, I started listening more to band members,
Sure.
coming in.
Yeah.
And then one thing, we'll go through a couple lineups, and then the last lineup that we had, they quit in December, and we had 2 shows still scheduled for 2023, I think it was. One in March and one in June. And it was just like, I'm going like, okay, I don't want to cancel these shows.
Right.
So I asked Ryan, hey, can you at least help me out for March? All right. And our guitar player now, Matt,
Right.
he kept the band alive,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
type thing.
Yeah.
And Good old Cavs. Now, here's the funny thing about Cavs is I've known Cavs a long time, like mid-'90s.
Yeah.
All right. But I didn't know until 2022 that he played bass.
Right.
My bands were so big that he didn't even know.
That could be it, man.
And it was just like, I'm going like, dude, if I would have known that back then, we wouldn't have never had a problem finding bass players.
Right.
So it's just like he joins in, and together we worked, and it was chemistry, right? When we got together.
It just clicked.
It just
and
clicked.
it was like, oh, okay, this is what it could be.
Yep.
Excellent.
And then I finally, that's right then and there, that was the aha moment for me.
Right.
I'm going like, okay, you want to know something? I do realize that I've been really strong-handed in the past. I'm open to other ideas because I knew that we were finally on track.
Sure.
And it wasn't this album. What would eventually become Sonic Evolution wasn't the Guns N' Roses thing that I had planned on.
Sure.
This was more. We experimented, I guess you might say.
A little bit, yeah.
So this, what our guitar player is more of a neoclassical sound.
Okay.
A very much a Randy Rhoads. DVD,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Zach Wild.
Yeah.
Like those are.
Right.
But then also with like a classical and jazz background.
Oh.
Exactly. So
mix all that together and yeah.
Yep. And he arranged these songs so that it was different, but it was still Outlaw Saint.
Right.
And
Technical, but melodic.
Yeah.
Technical.
And it was a little bit more complex than what it was, and the tone wasn't as raw.
Right.
And that was what we needed to do, and that was the reason why we called the album Sonic Evolution.
Yeah.
Because we had, eventually we had to get there.
Right.
And I am very, very proud of that album.
Right.
So
where'd you guys record that one at?
So a guy named he goes by the name Ron Ronchi.
Okay.
But his name's Wally Nemec, or he goes by Wally Joseph.
Yep.
Used to be in Skywine.
Yep.
So he has his own recording studio over in Andover, and I've known Wally for years.
Right.
And
Good dude.
Yes, very
Wally's
good dude.
a great dude. Yep.
Yep. And several years back, he did one song for Outlaw Saint for free.
Yeah.
To get something out there.
Sure.
And I've always kept in contact with him. And finally, we were going like he had mixed, some previous stuff
Right.
from other lineups, and we're going like, okay, you want to know something? Let's go with him. So, and now he's pretty. As far as I'm concerned, this is just strictly my opinion. He's pretty much the go-to guy.
Nice.
He knows how to. To me, as far as I'm concerned, he's Grammy Award winning material.
He's got a really good ear.
Yeah.
And if
He's always had a great ear.
Oh, he's got a great ear. And
Yeah.
there was a bass part in one of the last song we did, and he goes, I understand why you did that, but honestly it's a little funky.
Yeah.
Change it to F sharp or whatever the change was. And I'm like, I never even thought of
Simplified it. He simplified it a little bit
He
more.
did.
Just kind of cut.
And I'm like, why didn't I catch that?
Right.
Like your ear is awesome.
Yeah.
And he heard it, and he was right when you listen to the finish.
And the way he can EQ drums.
His drum sound is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like,
Just to give you an idea here, one of the previous EP,
Yeah.
when we had recorded it, the guitar player who recorded it at the time only had 3 mics.
Okay.
When we were recording it, so he mic'd up the drums with only 3 mics.
Okay.
And you could it was really hard to pick out, but Wally was going like he actually spent time to bring out the drums more,
Right.
and make it sound damn good.
Right. Yeah, and he's recorded a million times himself, so I'm sure that he knows what he wants to hear.
Yep.
I love when. So I've had this experience, the same one that you've had, sitting in with my friend's band, recording with Dave Ellefson in the studio. He came from LA to Orphan to record my friend's band. They won a contest. They sent their demo to him via like this Pro Tools fucking commentary thing, and they won the Battle of the Bands.
I love Dave
they
Ellefson.
went to he went to their studio, the guy who sang in the band, same guy we were talking about, Paul Rogers, whatever, right? So he owned half of a studio, was Orphan down by Monty's in Minneapolis off of Washington there. and he wanted me to do like some screaming shit over the top of it. And this kind of pertains to what you were talking about vocally too. So watching him listen to them play through their stuff as they're recording, they did like four or five songs with them. Seeing him cut the edges off of some of their riffs. I remember when they wrote the songs, I played with them multiple times. I had done cameos with them a whole bunch. But seeing a guy who has that type of ear, that knows what the industry wants, that will push you forward as far as like this less is more thing that we're talking about, right? He was able to refine their sound so well. Drums, I mean, the whole rhythm section was something to just behold, to just see him say, you don't need all these fills here. You need to be consistent. And he just made fucking Beak play constantly and consistent the whole time. That dude's drumming from that point of that recording session. Now, they had already done some demos before that was, in my opinion, very great stuff. Sonically awesome. But when Dave came in and curved the edges on all their shit, it just upped that value so much more. And those songs that they released, I thought could have contended with anybody at the time, and that was right in the middle of that new metal shit too, Sure. But here's the thing that pertains to the vocal thing. Now, I'm very much like you. When you hear something, you want to emulate that sound, but unfortunately, like I broke bones in my ear, so I lost tonality because when you're hearing your voice, you're hearing the echo and the reverb inside your head, and a bit of what comes out.
Yep.
Where everybody else is hearing something completely sonically different than what you're hearing. So your voice is always off, and you're always like, oh, I fucking hate the sound of my voice. Now, I've always tried to emulate or stay in the pocket with other vocalists,
right?
Where I thought I was somewhere close to the range, right? Sitting with a guy who can actually sing, and me trying to hit his range when I'm used to, you know what I mean? A middle of the road growl. And I've always felt the same way about my vocals, that I'm very middle of the road, but my showmanship added to what I was doing. So it made it more aggressive. So what I always thought was, if I'm doing this like that, or if I'm fucking, making a guitar face with the guitar player, right? I know that they might not be into what I'm doing physically, but you can't avoid it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So when you see somebody really rocking out to a song, and they're going, Eli from the drummer for God damn it, Daigoro, said to me the first time that he seen me play, he was like, I couldn't believe how you were like contorting yourself and really getting into it. And he said, I kept thinking to myself, is this fucking guy for real? and then he's like, and you didn't stop, and you just kept doing what you were doing. And then it was like, dude, you were really into what you were doing. And I think
felt that
adds to everything. Yep. Like I've always said that there are two different styles of musicians, guys who play their instrument. Okay. One, they play their instrument. Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Robin Trower, Santana, any fucking Ace Frehley, any great guitar player that you love, Clapton, Hendrix, all of those, Prince, and all of those guitar players, they played their instrument. Now there's other guys that are very well skilled, they're technical, they know their arpeggios, they know all the shit. But when you see them play, they're looking at their hand, right?
Yep.
And they're not really feeling the music.
Yep.
Now, I've talked to younger musicians, and I've always said, like, hey, it's funny because I've heard both sides of it. Don't sing with the singer. You look like a fucking idiot. No, you sing with the singer because if you know what he's saying and they can't understand what he's saying when he's doing this, like this, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep.
You are emulating what he's saying, and it grabs the crowd, right?
Yep.
So even if you're not fucking full on like this, if you're, and you hit the gung, 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 you know what I mean? You're fucking getting into it. Everybody feels that shit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yep.
So what Dave Ellefson said to me when I was trying to emulate my friend's higher range was, what are you doing? And it's Dave fucking Ellefson. Like, I'm trying to stay. You can't. You're not in his range. Right. You're not in his register, and you have to stop trying because you're blowing your voice out trying to get high which I could hit the highs for a little bit of time, but there's no way that I could sing a whole chorus with this guy in his range.
Right.
Yep.
So he's like, do you? So in that shit, I thought I did okay, and they just turned me way down to where it melded well with his vocals. I was upset because I got turned down, and thought I was hot shit at the time, you know what I mean? But the understanding beyond that was it gave me so much more knowledge to not go out of my range too much, you know, because death metal guys are like, I've always been the middle of the road, but I can fucking squawk with the best of them and hit the lows with some of the good ones too. But doing all those in one sitting, especially pushing as hard as you're just going to blow your voice out.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I know that now I think back and I like all these fucking bands that I know, friends of mine, have all moved to in-ear monitors, right?
Yep. I don't like them, but yeah.
But here's the thing, though, is that guys like us that are trying to like flex their voice a little bit more and learn that breathing and learn that shit, it is very beneficial because you don't have to worry about somebody else controlling your mix. You guys control it in your thing.
Right.
And all you have is the volume on you. I could see the benefits of all of it, and I know it would help me a ton if I did that. But there's been many times, man, where I'm on stage and my voice is gone total tits up because I can't hear.
Yep.
You know, I've got too much guitar, too much bass, too much fucking dook, 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 you know what I'm saying? Like it just fucks you vocally. And that's the hardest part about being in small clubs is like, if you don't have your sound down, if you're not playing with your back all the time to these guys and they don't know your body language, you know what I'm saying? There's a big change there where
for sure.
Where you can get lost, you know, those cues, especially you think about James Brown, you think about George Clinton, you think about Jimmy Page, you think about fucking Guns N' Roses, you think about Axl Rose, right? I almost called him Axel Foley. What the fuck?
I got that.
So,
A little bit different.
but it's kind of like one of those things, like, you know, the shenanigans that he would do out there. You know what I mean? The things that he would do. I mean, they said he was going to lose his voice years ago because of the way he took a few lessons and then said, "Fuck this!" You know what I mean? I'm like, falsetto the fuck out of it. You know?
Well, it's funny that you should mention that. So, I was watching a video of a vocal teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, who had never seen Guns N' Roses
Sure.
up to this point, right? And he actually made a very good point.
Sure.
On Appetite. So, a small little background here. Axl, growing up, was in church choir, so he had always been able to sing, okay? He was actually using a good technique with his singing, but the problem is that it was one of a nasal. It's a sort of a nasal thing, as the instructor was saying. But the problem is with this nasal, you should only do it for so long,
Right.
and do other things.
Right.
And the only problem that with Axl was he just kept on doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that was his thing, and that's why, you know, he
was using his throat more than his diaphragm.
Yep.
What he was doing, you know, and that falsetto that he was trying to hit, he doesn't hit it as well, but he still has it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He still can pull a lot of that. When he came back, the fucking second or third time, you know what I mean? Like, what is it, Chinese Democracy?
Yep.
Like after that shit, his voice was shit. And then all of a sudden, like, he lost a bit of weight and fucking started taking care of himself. He got his voice back a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You talk about guys like Don Dokken that will never. I absolutely loved Dokken when I was a kid. And
Dokken was fantastic in
yeah,
the prime.
man. Yeah, they were fucking great, man.
Absolutely.
And I've seen fucking Poison a bunch of times. I've seen Motley Crue a bunch of times, White Snake. I mean, I've seen a ton of hair bands. And I used to work at the Mirage too, so I got to see a lot of them there too, you know.
Yep.
So I could never do that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to do like a thrash. There's a thrash album that I have out there that's like very, you know, like I'm trying to do stuff that is not, you know what I mean? I can't pull it off. I could have never. It may have morphed into something later on down the road, but when I listen to that, I'm like, oof, you know. But I never wanted to be a death metal singer either. I wanted to sing Prince shit. To be honest with you, I loved R&B. That was my jam. I loved all that shit. But I found metal, and I was like, hey, I really like this shit too. You know, I could never sing to save my fucking life. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, I tried a little bit on the outside the Murder album, you know, and that was as close as I could get to it, you know. But I think I would, when you get into those recording scenarios, I mean, that's the last album that I did. That's 2012. I think I've done like eight or nine albums, like demos and shit. But I always hated that process. I thought it was the worst fucking thing ever. I felt like live, you could never capture the live vibe of what, you know what I mean? Like, the band that I did the best with was Sublevel and got closer to getting signed, and like we did label showcases and fucking, management and people checking us out. And it was just like, we could never capture the sound that we had on stage, and we forced ourselves to go in and record with someone that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They had great equipment, amazing equipment, but they had no clue what they were doing, and we rushed it. It sounds like shit. Some of the best songs that I've ever been a part of writing together and performing, fantastic, but on cassette, like you said with your rock opera, it was one of those things where you had this vision, you seen people react to the shit that you created, and they were having fun with it, and then you try to capture it and it just falls flat, short. Short. It's not flat by any means. It's still good product, and
Well, and then with that, I mean, a lot of the songs we did have written and kind of knew. There's one in particular that we wrote as we were recording. We played the song once
live
all the way through.
Okay. Oh,
even recording it, we did it in parts.
Yeah.
So for the CD release show, we had to how does this go again? How does this piece together? Because we hadn't played it all the way through.
Right.
So yeah.
When fate lights a fire.
Yeah. So I mean, there's that kind of things, but yeah, I mean, even on the new album, the studio, I mean, it is a sterile environment.
Right.
As cool as the producer is, as cool as everything is, it's still a very sterile environment, which I had to get used to going through the album. I had to get used to playing with the click, which I disavowed for years.
It is not an easy thing to do.
I got fairly good at it because Wally insisted you're playing with the click.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I mean, the first time I asked for the click to be louder, he was like, "What?" Okay. But I mean, I got used to it, but I still don't like playing to a click because that just puts it. And maybe
it seems robotic.
And again,
it can anyway.
We're all roughly the same age. Like, go back to the days of tape, and like there was no click, there was no putting it on the grid, there was no all of that. It's just you went in there, you played, you put it out.
Right.
Like.
And motherfuckers did that like every other year and shit. You know what I mean? Like Zeppelin releasing 2 great albums in one year.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath doing the same shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I just listened to
touring in between.
Listen to a Geezer Butler his biography, and they're talking about recording, and I watched another thing. They're talking about Bill Ward and how Bill Ward on a lot of these tunes he didn't play like that. He just let it flow, and because he let it flow, it stayed in time on its own because they just were kind of chasing each other, and like he would be able to. He knew, again, this goes back to when you get a solid lineup, when you get the chance to jam with people who speak that language. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing what that person's going to do or what direction they're going to go. Like, okay, hey man, I got this riff, and you're like, I bet he goes this way with that. I bet he does this. Especially if you're a feeling guy, like I feel the same way with riffs. Like I have to fucking feel it. So there'd be a million riffs flying in the room. If I don't lift my head up, we ain't using it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Unless it's used in context where okay, here's part of it, and it leads to this where it beefs it up. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many times where you're looking for a sound, and you're like, hey, and I've always hated this, but I always want to do this to people. Like, hey, I'm going to give you 5 songs, right? I don't want to copy these 5 songs, but this is the vibe I'm looking for in these 5 songs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
You've done that countless times.
Countless times.
But you know what? It does speak volumes if you know this person's language. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean, dude? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to fucking play Guns N' Roses verbatim. That's not what I'm saying, man. But do you feel the vibe in the do 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 do? You know what I mean? Or you put a Ramones tune on. You know what I mean? It's that punk beat, that doom da. You know what I mean? You understand where you're coming with it. You know what I mean? Like there's people that just don't get it, and they think that you're plagiarizing the shit when you're really not. It's a vibe that you're feeling that you're trying to emulate to everybody else. I've been like, Prong Beg to Differ, that album, right?
Yep.
Sonically and thrash-wise, one of the best albums I've ever heard, I think. You know, and Tommy Victor's he's a fucking maniac, dude. His riffs are unbelievable. And he's still making crazy riffs to this day.
Doing it.
But that album, man, for some reason, it just fucking, it's not fast. It's like that middle of the road thrash. You know what I mean? It's almost like doomy grungy at times too. You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite songs on there is what is it? Prime Cut. Doom 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 doom. You know what I mean? Doom 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 doom. What is it? Take the slab of flesh, taunting for of that fucking.
Oh yeah.
Time to ring the chime. Jung jung jung. You know, it just builds and builds and builds. I fucking love that shit, man. And trying to express that vibe to people, they're like, I don't know if I could play that slow. You know what I mean? Like they want to go fast. You know, they want to fucking beef it up and be fast and whatnot. But we've got so I wanted to ask you about that first song.
Okay.
Admired, but not
Admired, just not desired.
Yeah.
So okay, so the easiest way to describe it,
Sure.
it's let's just say there's not too many people out there who will write a song about the friend zone.
right.
So it's basically to all the guys out there that they're admired by the women, but there's a difference between being admired and being desired.
Oh, you're a nice guy.
Well, it's not so much that. Think about it this way, okay? So let's just say that, hey, you know, I know that you're beautiful,
Right.
but I'm not attracted to you,
Right.
you know, type thing. And so,
Said no dude ever.
yeah.
Are you breathing?
So I find you I know that you're attractive. You're being admired,
Yeah.
okay? But when you're attracted to them, you desire them.
Right.
And it's basically just it basically. You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, I'm just thinking about, you know, one of my lady friends, you know, saying, hey, this guy's been treating me bad, you know, using me. And at the end of the song, I finally realized, okay, I am your friend. I am here to listen to you.
Right.
As I tell a lot of my lady friends, just like my shoulder is an anti-corrosive sponge.
Right.
So it's just like you can either cry on it or you can spit venomous rants at it.
Your shoulder just isn't that metal, is what you're saying. You have one soft shoulder, the other one's metal. This one would rust. This one's soft. You know what I'm saying?
And when we're talking about more is less,
Yeah.
or less is more,
Less is more.
less is more. I don't do a lot of swearing in my songs,
Yeah.
but I like to do suggestive words
Sure.
that mean the same thing.
Right.
Okay. Well, there's a line in the second verse. It goes like, "When we hit the bar, I know you don't mean to. Crotch block me as soon as we enter the room."
Right.
So it's just like, and then when I say crotch block, you know, so that way it gets by the censors.
Right.
But it, you know, it's just witty wordplay, and
Still know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, and a lot of my songs, I have a lot of those witty wordplays.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Be outright disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are like that. You know?
It's just like, to me, it's just like, I prefer Robin Williams over Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Okay, Robin Williams was dirty as hell, a dirty old guy, but he made it funny.
Yeah.
And he was suggestive.
Yeah.
Whereas Andrew Dice Clay was just for
What's
shock.
in the bowl, bitch?
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
got
it's
More to
just
the
like,
point.
I gotcha. All right, so then we've got your second tune. Well, the one that we're going to play here is what is Dealing with the Devil?
interesting little concept. So this version right here,
Uh-huh.
we released an original version on the album.
Okay.
Okay. This version is an extended version.
Okay.
At the very end, features an outro by a guy, we call him Jimmy the Shredder.
Uh-huh.
Jimmy, what is it, Wanilko?
Walinko.
So what had happened was that I'd always wanted to write a song. I was inspired by how Triple H asked Lemmy to write a song for him.
Right.
And ever since then, I've always wanted to write a theme song for a wrestler.
Sure.
But I've always wanted a woman wrestler because, you know, it's just, so as the song goes.
Do you like the divas?
Well, no.
It fits the vibe.
It fits the vibe because they have to work extra hard,
Right.
you know, to be taken as seriously as a man. So it's just like, the devil wants her soul, and he tries real hard, and he thinks he can win if he deals his card, but he's just not wired for the Spitfire's groove. When she's dealing with the devil will always lose.
Huh.
Just like, and turns out Jimmy's daughter is a girl named Tiffany Stratton. That's her ring name.
Okay.
On WWE. At the time, she was in NXT working her way up.
Oh, nice.
And now she's on WWE. And I asked him, I'm going like, can I write a song for your daughter?
Right.
You know, if she decides to use it, that's cool. If not,
Sure.
you know, it's my inspiration. And I'd always, and this was before, you know, this current lineup, you know, even came around.
Okay.
You know, this was the previous lineup that I came up with this idea. And I told Jimmy, I'm going like, we'll do a song and we'll have a part where you do a guest appearance.
Okay.
And we decided, and at the time we were going to do it as a bonus track at the end of the album, but timing just wasn't right.
Right.
And after we released the album, then he was available, so we went back in, and this version right here. So our current guitar player Matt, he's doing all the rhythm. He's doing a kick-ass solo in the middle of the song, and Jimmy comes in and does a solo at the end.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's our way of saying, hey, it's about your daughter. We just think it was fitting that, you know.
Yeah.
So and
Did she use it?
don't know.
Oh, okay.
Don't know.
We're hoping so.
We're hoping so.
Oh, there's still a possibility.
It's still a possibility.
We're hoping they're going to want to buy it or even use it.
Right.
If not, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's not. You put your hard work in there. What do you
Hey,
mean, man?
I-
These motherfuckers are making money, dude. You know what I'm saying? Get your money, bro.
She's making money, so
well,
we're hoping.
there you go. That's
know.
what I'm saying, man.
Right.
Now,
Well, the way I
be
look at-
respectful, though. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Well, respectful, and the fact is, I did what I set out
Sure.
to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I've always wanted
It's a
to do
goal,
it,
dude.
and I
Nothing
did
wrong
it.
with that.
Yeah, we did the goal. She's heard the song. She likes the song.
Awesome.
That's all we can ask for.
Yep.
Well, let's take a
Her
listen to
dad on
that,
it.
and we'll rock out, and we'll be back. Take a listen, folks, and we'll be back. You can fucking wail, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
As far as I'm
What'd you switch your shirts, dude? What the fuck? You're fucking me up, dude. Holy shit.
See, first we butter up the host by
Right.
wearing his band shirt. Then we butter up the show by wearing his shirt.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. I was going to say something about the shirt. I appreciate it. I don't see many of those anymore. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, kind of one of those deals.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
But yeah,
I appreciate the support, dude. For
of
real.
course.
so if I had a sub-level tramp stamp, would you be
Fucking A, dude.
proud of me?
You wouldn't be the first one. No, just kidding. Just joking.
But yeah, the best part about that song is it contains not just one, but two very talented local guitar heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like, we give credit to Matt. And the real cool thing about Matt was it was his idea to make it heavy, to put it in drop D,
Sure.
to give it more of that Black Label Society,
Right.
type feel.
Now, is that something that you guys used after that point, or is it just for that particular album or that song? Just
We actually had one other song that was in drop D, but it's more of a groove. That will probably be the heaviest song we'll ever write. We have a new guitar player coming in, and he has a song in drop D, but that's more of a bluesier.
Yeah, that's more of a kind of.
We play that song live. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
and that is the first. It was at the Underground Music Cafe.
Yep.
We were doing a show with Synopsis of all people.
how is that club?
I like it. I mean, the stage is a little small, but it's a nice little.
Well, they have an event center, but that's for the big band.
That's for the big band.
Yeah.
So we're on the small stage and we go into Devil, and I see people out in the crowd starting to mosh, and I'm like, I think this is a first. People moshing to Outlaw Saint. What the hell? And literally every time we play that song, just about every time we play that song,
Yep.
we get some sort of pick going.
All right, man. I'm just gonna say this in case you're not paying attention. Okay, when that happens, stay on that fucking groove. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying
Oh,
to
fuck
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like
dude, yeah.
keep your normal, your normal seasoning in there, but that's the seasoning that should be predominant. If you're affecting them in that way, stay on that vein. That is one thing you need to tap into. I'm just saying, because I know that having the vision, you can be blinded by that vision, especially when you're in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really want to get to that goal, but you miss the fact that you're charging them up, and that is one thing. Especially if you're looking for a high-powered, high action fucking show. If you can charge them, not once, twice, 3 times in an hour or 45 minutes, if you can charge them 3 times. So if you make 2 more songs that have that, and I'm not joking, man. I'm
Oh, yeah,
that
no, I know,
fucking
man.
serious,
Yeah.
man, because that is something that I always look for. That's why when I'm saying you get 2 riffmeisters in a room and they fight amongst each other for who's going to get the riff for the song, right? But you're the deciding factor. Because you're the guy that's feeling it. You're the one that's creating the words.
Yep.
You're the one, because I've had sheets and sheets and sheets of words that don't go with that riff, right?
Yep.
Where you're in the middle of it and you fucking have to write something for that riff because it just doesn't piece together. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And by the way you're able to recite your lyrics like that, you're putting time in. No, I'm serious about that because, and I'm just using this as an example, and I do this to a lot of people, and I don't mean to I'm not trying to one up. What I'm trying to say is that when I connected with people, that was the thing that I always thought to myself, if I'm feeling it, and the five people that are in front of me are just fucking grooving, right? That's all it took for me was this. If I could get you to do that, I could easily get you to do this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was my vibe. And I never I tried to tell guitar players that wanted to do all of the shit and all the wheedlies all they wanted to. That's great, but nobody's gonna groove to that. They're gonna go,
Yep.
yeah. You know what I mean? That's what they're gonna do. If you get a fucking call and response, hey,
Yep.
that shit, the shit that you see in major concerts,
Yep.
there's a reason they're fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I actually do that during our live shows, anyways.
Right.
But with different things.
Right.
I do. There's one section of every show that we do a crowd participation.
Don't miss out on that vibe. You don't turn your back on that vibe
Yeah.
because you guys are feeling it and you're joking about it, but you're realizing it. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you and I know it's really difficult to say, all right, we're going to tune to this thing and change the whole sound, but and you don't have to. That's why guitar players like to have extra guitars. You know what I'm saying? Like this one's in fucking C, this one's in E. This is standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this one is. you know, you know what I mean? That fucking groove. So I'll get on a tangent every now and again.
No, not a problem. Not
But,
a problem.
it's a legit thing, you know. I
Yep.
mean,
And with me, it's just like I'm heavy. I don't mind it being heavy, but it has to have a groove to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, like Black Label Society
has a groove.
Guys,
Has
man.
nothing but groove.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
His vibe is insane. There's just something. He's got some riffs there, and what's crazy about it is his, you know, the admiration for Ozzy, and everybody's ever worked with Ozzy's always said that he's been able to create melody and create things out of thin air. You know what I'm saying? Where again, all of the guys in Sabbath said he's a feeling player.
Yep.
But a lot of times he didn't write any of those lyrics. A lot of times it was Geezer Butler doing all the lyrics. But he had the patterns
Yep.
with different lyrics, and he was just able to take those lyrics and put them in those patterns and make it fucking awesome.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you hear, you know, a guy like fucking Zach Wilde do some shit like that, Jakey Lee, any of the people that he's played with, dude, you know what I mean? They catered to what he was doing, you know? But don't turn your back on that fucking riff. That's all I'm saying, man. You know? It's just, you know.
And what's really interesting to me is that to me it was like years ago I always thought, okay, if it's in drop D, it's gonna be a metal tune,
Right.
You know, type thing.
Sure.
But then all of a sudden I'm hearing like Tesla, and they're doing Heaven's Trail, No Way Out, which is in drop D.
Right.
And I started to realize it's not the tuning that you're in; it's how you play it.
Right.
For example, there's a band out there called Blackstone Cherry.
Sure.
And they're basically Southern rock, but they're in the same tuning as Korn.
Okay.
But it's the fact is Korn will a lot of metal, you know, they'll you know type thing. Whereas like Blackstone Cherry will do Southern rock type, chords and all that.
Right.
So it's not the tuning; it's how you play it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Their music is totally the opposite, but their tuning is so, like, their sound is so full, it's so
Right.
huge, and it's
Right.
Yeah.
I never understood when I started now going back to some of the old thrash stuff that I listened to when I was younger, how tinny that shit sounds, and like how thin the guitar sounds. And I remember being so like into the riff, like, oh my God, it's so heavy. But then you think, okay, if I was able to superimpose the fucking the tone of a Zakk Wylde, or you know some your favorite, you name it, Crowbar, fucking whatever, you know what I mean? That tone
Onto those riffs.
Oh my goodness, man!
yeah.
It would make it so much, you know. That now, when you have ideas in the studio, when you guys are coming in, now, is it riffs? You like you said, you work off of riffs. Now, is it a flow type of thing with your guys when you're doing it? Say a guy brings in a riff. Do you guys play that riff and just repeat the riff and see where it goes, or do you have riff and this guy has a middle riff?
Sometimes.
It depends. It depends. With this album, Sonic Evolution, Matt brought in the ideas.
Okay.
And it's just like, so we were going like, okay, you know, show us, you know, what you can do. And he brought in some, it was intricate. It was somewhat complex, but it wasn't prog.
Right.
You know.
Well, and then the other thing, it wasn't him bringing it into the room and then like we jam on it, whatever. He would like go and record it.
Oh, okay.
Record the idea, send it to us, and then we would.
So sonically, you would know what you were getting.
Well,
It wasn't like,
and then I could figure out, okay, what can I do over this, and Kaz could figure out bass parts and all that. So it was it felt like a less organic way to do it, but it totally worked.
right.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I mean that's the way of the world right now, man. You know what I mean? Like we don't all have a fucking space we can all get in and jam. A lot of people don't. You know what I'm saying? Like organically is real tough these days, especially as we get older and have jobs and shit to do and kids and whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, so we have a new guitar player coming in.
Yeah.
So Matt decided he was trying to concentrate on his career.
Okay.
And at the time, it was just like he had a job opportunity. He didn't know how long he was going to be, you know, in the band.
Yeah.
So he gave us our blessing to look for someone.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, we did find someone, and he came in, and he's organic.
Right.
You know, it's just like
Yeah, he's very, very jam. Like you'll come in and just start playing something.
Yeah.
And we'll just be like, okay.
He plays different than Matt. They're both awesome in their own way, but he plays very different.
Now, are you using both guitar players?
No.
Oh, just the one.
Nope. So our next show, February 22nd, over at Shaw's.
Let me put that up. Go ahead.
Will be our last show with Matt.
Okay.
So we're trying to give him a proper send off, trying to let people know, hey, this is your last chance to see the guy who's responsible for our last album.
Right.
The intricacy. I mean, just watch this guy play.
Right.
Type thing. And then soon after that, we'll be going with the other guitar player whose name is Ziggy.
Okay.
And Ziggy. So what had happened is that Ziggy's bringing us back to the basics of Ron Raunchy, but with a twist.
Okay.
He's more bluesy, but it's how would you describe it?
It's as far as I can tell, he has a lot of blues influence. He also has a lot of metal influence.
Okay.
So it's like a merging of those two things. So it's bringing us back to basics, but on an elevated level.
Right.
But not quite, the neoclassical stuff
Right.
Matt was doing. So it's basic, but like the middle ground between the two. Yeah.
Yep.
His favorite guitar players are different than Matt's favorite.
Ziggy's favorite was it Angus?
I believe Angus.
Yep.
Big AC/DC guy.
Yep.
Big AC/DC.
And you can hear it, but
In
he
tone,
still
yeah.
adds in, sort of a slight metal
Twist to it. Gotcha.
Put it to you this way, because I describe as Sonic Evolution is kind of like our Justice.
Okay.
And we're trying to go back to the Black Album.
Gotcha.
And he was kind of like, you guys like the Black Album? Like, he stopped listening to Metallica after Master of Puppets.
Right.
He's one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
So that's where he's at,
Well, he's in a good spot then, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, we wrote our first song at his audition.
Oh, right on.
And
it went that good.
Yes, it went that
To
good.
say it went well is an understatement. Yeah, it went very well.
Yeah.
A couple songs already, so
Yeah.
it's happening quick.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, so what had happened was we gave him the songs ahead of time to learn, and when he was learning them, he got inspired, and he was one of the first things he's going like, "Hey, I recorded this brand new riff that I just came up with. You guys inspired me to do it."
Right.
And I'm listening to it. It's very bluesy, but it's sort of on the slow side.
Right.
And I'm going like, I see potential in that riff if we speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then 2 practices later, so technically our second practice, but third
Right.
time with him,
Gotcha.
we spent 1 hour on that riff, and he came up with some ideas, and I already had some lyrics that were, for the next set, I already had, some inspiration. And within an hour, we had our second song written.
Nice.
And this one was completely from scratch.
Nice.
And so yeah.
So where do you pull your lyrics from?
So
Mostly. What's that? Yeah.
Oh, he's got lyrics for days, and nobody knows where they come from.
well, so my whole thing is that I've always loved music, and the one thing I like about music is I like performing. I love entertaining people.
Sure.
But music is also my catharsis. For whatever is bugging me, it's just it's my way of dealing with like depression or something like that.
Sure.
But I don't want it to be a complete downer, all the time.
Yeah.
And even with some of the serious songs, I add in a little bit of wiry humor.
Right.
Type thing. For example, in one of our songs that will be coming up in a little bit, 10 Foot Tall and Bulletproof, there's a song where a friend once told me about past duress of 3 ways with Mary Jane and crystal meth.
Right.
So it was talking about, and he's going like, well, I turned it around, blah, blah, blah. So I added in that little bit of, wordplay.
Sure.
Sort of the humor. And
Right.
a lot of our songs.
Now, did you take any writing classes as a kid, or did you do anything like that? Now, like, how were you in English? How were you?
Well, so that's a funny thing. It's funny you should mention that. So originally in high school, right up until I graduated, I wanted to be an author.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Stephen King. I wanted to be the next Stephen King, and I excelled in English.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that when I started writing songs, I started writing like an English teacher.
Really long.
Really long.
Novels.
And to the point where I would try and sneak as many syllables into.
You were being the guitar player that fucking lets the
Exactly.
guitar play himself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
I've
to
been
the
there
point
before.
Where there was no even like breathing.
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
constant work.
Yeah.
And we're just like, dude, you got to cut it back.
Well, what's
Yeah.
crazy?
Okay.
What's crazy is that the stuff that you like does that exact thing, and you're taking. And I always looked at it like that too. Like I don't want to verse chorus verse bridge verse chorus verse shit. But I'll tell you what, when I did do it, when I actually stopped and said, okay, I'm going to do a verse here and I'm going to do a chorus, Bleeding Tomorrow, dude. It was like one of those tunes that everybody always fucking threw down for. So I was like, okay, it's not the style that I ever wanted to do. I didn't want to be the cookie cutter fucking, lay it out, put your riffs on it, that type of shit. But it worked. And that's why I never like looked away from it. I was like, okay, it feels good. There's no, there was no bad feel about it. It was like, okay, what am I going to do for a chorus? You know what I mean? And that's all I did was say, bleeding tomorrow, bleeding tomorrow, bleeding tomorrow, And it was about my friend's girlfriend, it was about a bad relationship that they had, I don't know. I just pulled weird things from different spots. I mean, I look back at one album. I was reading a lot of Clive Barker books, like short stories by Clive Barker, and there was a couple different Pig's Blood Pentagram. There was Midnight Meat Train. There was a couple different stories that, like, just the way he painted the picture was like, fuck, I've got to do that, And then I'm a real big fan of Dax Riggs, who's a vocalist for Acid Bath, and his style. I compared him. It was really funny because hanging out with his guitar player, his old guitar player that went to Agents of Oblivion with him, I said to him, well, I told Dax that he was like my Jim Morrison, and he kind of chuckled. And I remember Dax going, like getting weirded about it because it was like a thing, but then his guitar player's like, dude, that's like one of his favorite fucking cats, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Why he got weirded out that I said it, And he goes, dude, we always used to compare him, and we're privately hanging out and having beers together, and all of a sudden, I'm getting this deep shit. Anyway, but that's, I started to look into lyrics more. I never studied everybody else's lyrics. I never wanted to take their verbiage. I never wanted to take anything from it. There was guys like Dax Riggs that I loved that were obscure metaphors that were very, it was like he would say 3 lines to 4 lines that had painted a picture that you were like, holy fuck, man, like, he says scraping like broken glass across the pavement. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like just that in itself, and he's singing that, like, broken grass scrapes across the pavement, and he just goes into these fucking really cool melodic vocal patterns, and you're like, holy fuck, man, how can I do that? And you're writing this shit and go like, wow, I remember having a writing situation where my grandfather was he was about to pass away, and my wife was in the same room with him, and he had the rattle.
Yep,
and,
death rattle. Yep.
And I used it in a song and used it as like, he was the one that was supposed to save us from all of this stuff, being my grandfather and all of his children. And like, there's a part where him and my grandmother used to dance a lot, ballroom dancing. And he was like, that was like his weakness. He loved to dance with weddings and all the shit, So that was the thing that I wrote, was that my grandma was passed away, and she said, take my hand, we'll dance. It's a crazy thing when your kid is listening to the song and really digs the vibe and what you wrote and how you wrote it, and then you explain the whole story behind it. You know what I mean? Like you say, this is what I was thinking at this particular verse.
Yep. This
is what I was thinking. You're giving them the story, the play-by-play of where it came from. And I remember sitting in a room and just making them repeat the riff. And it was like the main riff of it. And they didn't even have the connectors to it. And I had already it was like, right. And like you said, you have all these pages that just don't seem to fit,
Yep.
And then you get that one spark. Now, when you're writing, you said before, like even in serious matters, you try to give it a twist, to give it a little bit of dark humor or any type of thing to pull people. Do you use it to connect with your listeners more?
Not really. Like I said, to me, it's the frustrations that I feel, in everyday life, type thing. We have several songs about, all the critics and the haters, and we're going like, dude, oh well.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't care.
Don't subscribe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just like, frustration over not having a lot of women from type thing. One of our older songs probably had one of the best lines that I'd ever come up with. Evil One Track Mind.
Oh yeah.
It's called. The chorus goes, "You got me distracted because you're so damn attractive.
Yeah.
But your best quality that I find is your evil one track mind." And the story behind that song is that I was talking to one of my lady friends. I was helping her. She was in between homes and staying at a living in.
Yeah.
And she wanted someone to take her out to get some groceries and bring her back. Well, when we were bringing her back, all of a sudden her boyfriend, who I knew at the time, a mutual friend of ours, was coming over, right? And so she wanted to get ready for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you. And she said, no, I want to talk. So here she is, dressing into different types of lingerie while talking to me at the same time.
Right.
And I'm going like, I feel like a stripper's most dedicated bodyguard here.
Right.
And it's just like, I kept on asking her, I'm going, are you sure he's coming over? Are you sure you don't want me to leave?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're fine, blah, blah,
Don't
blah.
mind me. I got my hand in my pants.
More or less.
Like,
and it's just like, finally, he arrives and she has to let him in.
Yeah.
Right. And as we're walking out together, I'm going, are you sure you don't want me to go out the back way? And she's going, yeah, I think you better. So as I'm sneaking out of the back, and she's bringing him back up to, do her thing with him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm thinking to myself, I would love to have a girlfriend like that, someone with an evil one-track mind.
Right.
And
I think we all want that.
yeah. And it's just like, just so
part.
happens, I was going to band practice that day, and the original lineup had a riff all ready to go, and all of a sudden I'm going like, you got me distracted because you're so damn attractive. It's just like, it fit.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's
it's
a good feeling, man.
It was. I was frustrated, because I wasn't getting anything out of it. It's like going to a strip club and going home alone.
Dude, I'd be fucking lying if I didn't say I was a little jealous. Like when you guys said, we sat down with the guy and we wrote our first tune right away. That is the best fucking feeling, especially when they walk out of the room more inspired than when they came in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then they come back and they go, oh yeah, by the way, I came up with this riff, and you're like, oh shit, and then it's number 2, and you're going, oh okay, well this could be really good,
yeah, for sure.
That's a jealous feeling for me because I miss it so much, man. When it comes to that, but sticking with it is the hardest part about it. Going through members and trying to find cats that you can really relate with and really hang with, because you do spend a lot of time if you're dedicated to the craft of music. Now when it comes to do you compare, or do you now we talked about kind of using vibe and showing people vibes of how you hear this.
Yep.
Do you take any of that when you're writing your music as well? Like, do you hear a riff from somebody else and get a pattern from that riff and continue with it?
160 Ginger.
160 Ginger. So I was one of my this girl that I'm sort of smitten by, redhead, type thing, and it's just like, I wanted to write something, something funky or whatnot, and I actually got the idea from a Godsmack tune.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I brought it in, and it just worked off of that. So
from the Godsmack tune, or
more or less the beat.
Okay, gotcha.
The general feel.
Okay.
Of what you were
Yeah.
going for was that, inspired by that, and then we just kind of worked it.
Yep. And then we made it our own,
right?
Type thing. But it was one of those where that inspired me, and I brought that to the guys, going like, hey, it's sort of like this beat right here, so let's add something to it.
Now through all the lineups and stuff that you've got, the folks that you've jammed with, have you done that with other people where they're just like, I'm not fucking doing that, I don't want to sound like them? Do they get offended by it, or do they actually go, I'm not trying to copy it, I'm just trying to give you the idea of where my vibe is at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've come across those, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But you learn from it.
Yeah.
Type thing. So it's just, it happens.
Yeah. So you guys are in the process of writing a new album right now, and getting the new guy.
Well, actually, so
are you teaching him to?
We're teaching him our old songs.
We're getting him up to speed.
Okay.
Yep.
And then in the process of that, all this new shit is coming out.
So now, you're building up to this 20-second show. So he's got to learn how many tunes is he.
Well, no, he's not going to be at the 22nd.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Paul's
Yeah,
not.
I'm sorry.
Paul's not playing at the
My
show.
bad.
Yeah,
My bad,
Ziggy's
my
not
bad.
at
Yeah.
the show. But
Hopefully he'll be there though.
well, yeah,
I
we're
am
hoping he'll be there.
listening. I am listening. It's just I'm partially.
So we have, I did a little count, and we actually have about 20 originals
Oh, nice.
right now. So it's a matter of getting him up to par with those originals. And the idea is that obviously we're not going to be able to do 20 originals in one show.
Right.
So something to make each show unique
Right.
is that there'll be certain staples that we'll do.
Right.
And then on one show we'll do this B-side,
Yeah.
and then on another show we'll do this B-side instead,
Right.
and work things around. So we're trying to get him up to par with all those songs.
Sure.
So that we can just, each show that we do, hey, let's change it around a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
That's good. That's good to have options. Holy shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? 20 tunes is enough.
yeah.
Yeah, we said, is it? We'd like you to learn the songs that are already written,
Right.
but we want to write new ones.
Right.
We don't want you just to play these forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we want it.
Yeah, we obviously want to grow and yeah.
Well, you keep them interested as well. You know what
Yep.
I mean? You don't want
Yeah.
somebody just going, I'm playing that guy's riff for the rest of the
Because
time.
yes, some local guys don't want to play some other local guys' stuff.
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, and he was cool with it and said, "I have some ideas. Can we do a couple of mine too?" And then,
And once again, it goes back to the whole. Now that I know that I have the right lineup,
Right.
I'm more open to saying, okay, you have any ideas you have, shoot them my way,
Yeah.
type thing.
Tank is great about it. Do you guys think this is working? Yes, no, maybe so. He's way cool about.
Well, see, it sounds like you're fucking learning right there, man. Shit, I mean, that's a tough thing to do, especially relinquishing any type of, I mean, it's your dream, you know what I mean? It's your goal, I mean that.
And in the years I've known him, it's almost like a 180 spin from when I first met him.
Right.
And he was very focused. This is what we're doing.
Right.
And then throughout my times in the band, I was just like, okay, let's just get everybody's input and see
Right.
what we're doing.
And it wasn't really an ego thing, even though some people might, mistake it for that.
Right.
It was just that I've always wanted, the whole band to be able to do this.
Sure.
But, it was just like we kept on coming across, musician after musician that tried to change everything, and I'd get it back in order. But then again, being human, all of a sudden I turn around and I start being heavy-handed,
Right.
type thing.
Right.
So it's just like, but yeah, it's just things are different now. Now I know this.
You got your control under control.
Exactly.
That's-
and we have at least the right rhythm section.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's
we
more
got.
than half the battle, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. Well, that's badass, man. That's good. So you're working on new stuff. You're getting the new guy worked in, and the old guy's ready to rock this last show.
Yep.
I'm gonna actually pull that one up again. That is February 22nd at Shaw's Bar and Grill. Looks like 1528, or is that 16? Can't fucking see, dude. 1528 University Avenue Northeast, Minneapolis. Let me see here. Twin Cities premier rock and roll party machine, Hollywood Boulevard, Outlaw Saint, and just you two?
Yep. We're opening for them.
Yeah.
So our thing is that I'm experimenting with an idea here.
Okay.
Okay. So everyone
Give away trade secrets now.
Well, it's just I think, in my personal opinion,
Yeah.
okay, I know that a lot of people they differentiate between cover and original bands.
Sure.
You either go to one or you go to the other.
Yeah.
And the scenes are very
Very, very different. But
Yeah.
the thing is that what if you work together? Type thing.
Sure.
All I'm trying to do is, if anything, and I'm not saying it'll ever happen, but a goal for at least for me, because I'll be doing music for the rest of my life.
Sure.
Type thing, is to make the Twin Cities more connected, more working together like it used to be back
Right.
in the late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
Everyone supported everyone, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And an idea, something we've been trying on a small scale that I eventually want to work on to a bigger scale.
Sure.
Is we'll open for certain cover bands,
Yeah.
and there'll be people there that are not there for us.
Right.
Or you'll have patrons of the bar who
Right.
just happen to be there.
Right.
And obviously, we don't have songs that are recognizable, but we work really hard to try and put on the most energetic show that we can.
Sure.
Gung Ho rock show. And I've noticed on a smaller scale that a lot of these people are transfixed on what we're doing.
Sure.
Just the fact
You're
that
in the same vein. I mean, you're not going to play with a fucking death metal cover band for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? You're going
Right.
to try
Although
to
we
stay
have
in the
played
same.
with death metal bands
Yeah.
before.
Right. Which is good
Still.
Yep.
to mix it up. I mean, there's
And
nothing wrong with
we
that.
still had that crowd, which
Right.
amazed the fuck out of me.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just like, to us, it's just like, okay, we want to try. We're more than willing to open for cover bands.
Sure.
Okay. No problem whatsoever, because the idea is, let's see.
Well, this is the thing: are those cover bands going to come off that fucking money? Because they're making all
Okay,
the money.
well,
you know what I'm saying?
well,
They're making good money.
We,
Yeah.
we have
We have a
we have a plan.
we have a plan.
There you go.
Okay. We don't ask much.
Yeah.
Type thing. But so my pitch is this.
Right.
Okay. First show, give us one chance. I don't care if it's half an hour, 45 minutes. Give us one chance. We'll do the first show
Right.
for free.
Right.
We want to see. We believe that our show is enough to maybe attract. People
People towards
in.
you. Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I'm saying is that, okay, if we get a good crowd response, invite us back for another show and just give us a small, a little sum.
Yeah.
We're not asking for much. We know, we're not in this to make money.
$100 a piece.
Well, even less than that. We're willing to do less than that.
Yeah.
It's just, to us, it's just, hey, that way the first time around, you're not losing any money whatsoever.
Fuck them. They're making fucking $2,100, $1,600 a show, if not
900
more.
easily.
Yeah, easy, dude. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a good cover band, you're doing well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get the whole being respectful and doing one for free, but come off that fucking money, dude. If you want it to work, come off that money, you cheap son of a bitch. Because them dudes, that's why they're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Half of those musicians are fucking phenomenal musicians, but they're like, I ain't making any money doing this shit, on my own, making my own shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, John Magnuson's a fucking phenomenal musician, period, all around. Great vocalist, has tons of range. He's a talented fucking writer, talented vocalist, and he makes more money doing that. He'll be playing for the rest of his life, doing the other stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But his shit that he made, top notch. I've always thought he was an amazing vocalist. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I do understand.
dude, that's a great idea. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Right.
I'm not shitting on that at all. I hope I didn't come off like that. That wasn't.
Oh no,
No, not at all.
I think that it's it's a great idea. I think that there's room for us all to work together as a group.
Exactly.
I say us like I'm in a band, but it's
Well,
scene,
you're still
the whole
part
music
of
scene.
the
right,
situation.
right,
though,
right.
Yeah.
And it's just like
It's a harder sell.
Yeah.
To, from like I called up I had some buddies come into town for a high school reunion or whatever
Yeah.
it was, and I'm like, hey, you said if you ever get another band, we'll come. Well, here I got this band. They're
Right.
like, cool. What songs do you know, or what songs do you do that I know? Well,
none.
we do our own stuff, and they're
Right.
like, oh, and like some people are real like. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, for sure.
To say,
Absolutely.
hey, you got to drive 45 minutes. You got to pay $10, and you're not going to know a single song.
Right.
Like, how do you sell that? That's a hard.
You do 2 covers. That's it.
Yeah.
And you say, you know what? We're going to do a cover here in a couple seconds. We got a couple of our own shit, and then play something that they know, and then play a couple of your own.
Sure.
Which we have done before.
Yeah, we've done before.
I mean, when we did that Metallica thing at Lee's that one time, and everybody picked one Metallica song and covered a Metallica song, like at the end of everybody did one for their set, and it turned out to be fun. You know what I mean? But still, one of those things. Like I wanted to know what the fuck what are you gonna do, man? They come out and they just totally throw down on some shit. You're like, yeah, I love that.
Does a cover of a cover count?
Yes. Yeah.
You gotta really sell yourself.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and my whole thing is this, is that I love being the opening band.
Yeah.
Okay, because to me, it's not about who's best. Okay, to me, it's the experience of the fans.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love being the opening band because I'm going like, okay, you want to know something? The bands that follow us, I want you to outdo me.
Right.
I want you to do better than I do.
Right.
You know, I'll set the bar so high. I want you to go above it. I welcome it.
Right.
Because what matters is that because I've been on the receiving end, I've been the fan going to these shows, and each band gets better and better.
Right.
And that's just one show that you remember.
Right.
And so it's just like, to me, it's just like, you know, yeah, we'll do what we do. I want you to outdo me.
Oh, I was a fucking animal, dude. Pacing back and forth, dude, so many times, just watching people crush it on stage and just going, oh, it's my turn. My turn to play with you fuckers. Do you know what I mean? Like, there have been times where I'm just like, how am I going to follow that? Jesus, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yep.
Believe it or not, I have a lot of confidence,
Sure.
you know, in my stage show.
Sure.
But even I recognize people who have a better stage show than me.
Right.
And there is this one woman, her name's Beth, and we call her Mega Beth.
Yeah.
She is one of those rare vocalists that not only has a really good range, but also she can outdo me in the showmanship.
Right.
And it's just like, I'm going like, oh, I get the follower? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, I get the started? Okay, cool. It's just like, to me, it's just, you know, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, she locally renowned. I mean, she's in a cover band called Sugar Buzz that have been around for 15 years, 20 years, something, long damn time.
Sure.
She's in a Queen's Reich tribute band.
Oh,
Queen
nice.
of the Reich does it fucking phenomenal. I
Yeah.
mean, she is just, yeah. But on top of that, the most supportive, nicest person you'll ever meet.
Gotta love those people, man.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, that goes a long way, man. I mean, you know, Ryan, you support a lot of bands around town, you know, and I think it goes beyond, you know, a single show when you can get people to come and just hang out with you, you know what I mean? Have a drink, talk some shit. Not even stay the whole fucking show, even, you know what I mean? Just to come and support and take off and whatever. That's always the best. I always found it really weird that guys in bands don't want to go out and talk to the people they just performed in front of. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't want to, you know, I'm going to go over here and drink and get my shit face on, you know? And it's like, dude, well, how can you do that, man? Let's go talk to these people.
Yeah.
Let's have
Or
fun.
you're going to do that, let's do it at the bar
Right,
with the people.
Right.
You
Or
know?
grab these other bands that are out of town or whatever and
Yeah,
try to
exactly.
get a route to go to, you know what I mean? That type of thing is.
Yeah.
I always thought it was so baffling to me. Like, you put all this time into this thing, you learn all your you learn your instrument well, but then that is as far as it goes. Like, I practice, I perform, and then I go hide back in the practice studio instead of go, dude, I worked really hard on this shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's really important to go out there and press the flesh. You know what I mean? Talk to people. And
Oh, yeah. And
This guy's a fucking master at that. That's all he does.
so I do an open jam every Thursday over at Fridley, Mad Mike's open mic.
Okay.
And with the exception of the third Thursday, and then it moves over to Shaw's.
Okay.
And when I'm in the bar in 47 or at Shaw's, I can't sit down.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, hey, hey, how's it going? You know, blah blah. I apologize. I got to mingle. You know, blah blah. I get more exercise, as much exercise on stage as I do moving around.
Right.
It's just like, you know, that's just me. It's just like I love socializing.
I always feel horrible because I feel like I don't give people enough time as I feel like they deserve. You know what I mean? It's like, hey man, how's it going? And then, hey man, fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I tell them, hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. I got to mingle, and they understand.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is between me and Ryan.
Yeah.
So I'm the one that I support. Every weekend I go out. I support bands.
Yeah.
Original, cover, doesn't make any difference.
Right.
Whoever's playing, you know, type thing. Ryan covers all the metal bands.
Yeah.
Okay. And the metal scene is the biggest genre here in Minneapolis or in the Twin Cities.
Sure.
You all support each other, and I say you all just because,
Right.
with me, I cover the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
I do the tribute bands, I do the rock bands,
Sure.
who's ever playing.
Right.
And it's just, that's the key to bringing in more people is you got to socialize.
Have you guys played with that Castor Velour band?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
They're fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yep. We did a show with them at Amsterdam last year.
Last year.
Yeah, it was last
2
year.
years
Was
ago, I think.
Was it 2 years ago?
No, it was last year. Not 2024.
2023.
2023.
Yeah.
We did a show with them and my friends in the Rebel Queens.
Oh, nice.
And that was a pretty fun.
Castor's great. They're Rebel Queens. They're both great.
Yeah.
Castor has a fun, crazy, big show.
Yeah, I've had him on the podcast one time before. I haven't had him back on in a long time. I should probably hit those guys up. It's been a while, and I know they've changed lineups a couple times, and they seem to be just chugging along, which is good, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're getting good shows and pushing their brand.
They do a lot of out of town stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, during the summer especially, they're all over Illinois and Iowa. And
They said
Wisconsin.
Minneapolis doesn't get them as well as other
Sure.
places.
Have you guys tried to go out with those guys anywhere? Or?
Yeah. Well, we did one to where we're working on it again, but it's just a matter of finding the shows,
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
in here. So
Good, hey.
now what's really cool is that they put a little bit more theatrics
Yeah.
into their stage show, and that's cool.
Yeah, they're
have-
always
they have-
building
they
fucking
have
shit, aren't they?
Wings behind them.
Yeah.
Like they put a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
theatrics into it.
And
All welded shit too, right? It's all
yeah.
metal shit.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're also the difference between them and us is that we try to put on the show with no theatrics, no props, or anything like that. Just plain energy, moving around the stage, blah blah blah.
Right.
So, I believe that, and I could be wrong. There might be some other band out there that that does it as well. But that's our niche. Is that we just try and put on the most old school gung ho rock show that we can.
Sure.
Just organic. Just go out there and do it.
Right.
So it's just
Nothing wrong with staying true to the style. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
And again, there's nothing wrong with having the costumes and the wings and all
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that they put on an awesome show.
Right.
And I think we put on an equally awesome show. It's just different.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, get us together on the same bill. You have the best of all worlds.
There you go.
So
Oh yeah. That's
So
awesome.
Castor,
man.
if you're listening, get us on a fucking gig.
Hell yeah, man. Push it.
Well, and then like our newfound, well, not mine. I mean, we're talking about Kellerman earlier.
Yeah.
He was at the Underground Cafe
Yep.
show.
Underground. That's where he first saw us.
That's
I
where he
think.
first saw us, I
Yep.
believe. Fucking raved.
Yeah.
And when I told him about the new album, he was like, "Dude, when you get it out, give me a copy. I'll play it on
On the
it-
route. Yeah.
yeah." And I did, and
Great
and I gave it to him, and apparently he jammed it all the way to the studio. I don't know if I have not heard if he's played it on air or not, but
Right.
he was so fucking psyched about it.
That's
So,
awesome.
and then he's kind of the bridge between, because obviously he's involved in the metal scene, but
Right.
he's also involved in like the rock scene and all
Yeah.
that. So he's like a good bridge for all that.
Well, he's got so many different styles. I mean, he's an old school cat, so he's got all kinds of thrash and punk and you know what I mean, rock and roll and hair bands, and I mean he's really taps into all of that older stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know
for
what
sure,
I mean?
for sure.
And
Supportive fucking guy. I'm glad that he's involved in the route.
oh yeah,
stuff
Oh,
down there.
yeah.
no doubt about it.
Yeah, when I was like, yeah, he'll probably play it on route, and he's like, you know someone who on a K-Fi and you didn't tell me, and I'm like, I didn't think about it because I never thought they'd played something like Outlaw Saint.
Hell yeah, they would, dude.
Well,
I mean, I know they would.
Here's the thing that's really interesting. What a lot of people don't realize is, even though our music's different than a lot of underground bands,
Right.
metal bands
Sure.
and all that, we're still underground,
Right.
Because not a whole lot of bands do the music that we do.
Sure.
At least originals.
Right.
So that technically makes us underground.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
So
Yeah, and the way I look
Anything
at
that isn't mainstream to me is underground.
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
And the way I categorize us is, I think there's only, as far as I can tell, 4 bands in the city that kind of do their own thing and are original but kind of go together. Us, Castor Velour, Rebel Queens, and Uncle Daddy.
nice.
I think those are the 4 that are doing something different but very successfully.
Right.
You know,
Uncle Daddy's fun.
Oh yeah.
Uncle Daddy is a fucking blast, dude.
Yep.
Joey's out of hand, dude. He's a cat, dude. That guitar player, dude. I call him the sexy Aaron Whiteside because they're very similar in stature. Like the way they. I mean, obviously Aaron is fucking, but I can't remember the cat's name. The guitar player from Uncle Daddy. I can't remember his name, but he always plays that. Is that his name? Grant?
Oh no, Derek Grant.
Derek Grant.
Derek,
Derek
okay.
Yep. Big
So
WD.
the last time I saw him, he played a fucking, I believe it was an Explorer, but it was like pink.
Oh, the pink sparkly one?
Yeah. And I was like, this is fucking great, dude. But I called him the sexy Aaron Whitesides. That's in my head. I was like, he reminds me of Aaron Whitesides, but like a sexy version of him, because he's just all like, he exudes that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And his playing too.
Yeah, those guys are fucking.
And it was very interesting because I'm one of the first people to come across them.
Yeah.
Type thing. They were doing many years back. They were doing Sword Metal Fest, and over at Nison's
in Savage. Yeah.
Yep, and it was a 3-day event, and we had headlined the Saturday night gig, and they were starting to pass out their things, right? And at first, I'm looking at their thing. They're going like, what did it say? Party like your uncle, love you like your daddy.
Yeah.
Type thing. And at first I'm going like, what are these guys asleep?
They from Arkansas?
Yeah, exactly. Creepy, sleazy, blah, blah, blah. And I saw them the next day because I was doing stagehand.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, wow.
Yeah.
And automatically the first thing I did was I got us on a bill with them and another band called Colossal Raptors. And I actually ran into, I believe, the guitar player probably about 6 months back. So I'm trying to get a hold of them again, maybe do a show with them.
Yeah, because they're awesome too.
So it's just,
Dude, that fucking Firebird front end thing that they did. Have you seen them do that?
Yeah.
That
Yep.
shit is
Do that.
fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, with the headlights. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name? Betty? No. The Fender has a name.
It has a name.
Oh, it does. I didn't know that.
I don't remember.
She has a name.
Yeah, she does have a name. I don't remember her name, but yeah.
That's a great idea.
So cool. So fucking cool, dude. It is just the fiberglass fascia of the fucking Firebird.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, but it's got the working headlights.
Fucking
Yeah.
lights are fucking.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have
'Cause
that.
again, they have their own gimmick.
Yep.
And they're awesome. But again, they're not a metal band. They're a rock band, but they're doing it fucking right.
Yeah.
Just like Castor, just like Rebel Queens, just like us.
Yep.
I think.
Fucking
And
A,
it's just-
dude.
And they have that, and we have the jump riser.
Exactly.
So one of my biggest things when I'm performing, if there's a drum riser,
Yeah.
I will be jumping off of
Yeah.
that. Okay, try to
Be careful, big boy. You're fucking up no ankles and knees, bro. Them hips ain't gonna be working like they're supposed to.
It all depends on how you land.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people land stiff, and that's what.
I hope you roll. That's cool.
More or less, yep. So, exactly. So, what I'm doing now is that on certain stages where there's no drum riser, I've got 2 old speakers that I don't use anymore. I tape them together and I use that. So, we call it the jump riser. And it's just like, so when
Careful,
I do it.
dude. Be
Yeah.
careful.
Well, so when I do it, it's like a cross between David Lee Roth and Axl Rose with a little bit of meatloaf.
Yeah. It sounds like a cafe meal of some sort. I'll have the special. What's that? Meatloaf with a little axle and a fucking DLR on there.
Yeah.
A little diamond. There,
Yeah. That's badass, man. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you guys coming in and chatting with me. This has been a fun one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got one more tune that's 10
10-foot tall and bulletproof.
Awesome. And we kind of talked about that one, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on with that?
So this song goes out to all our fans. It's just like, the loud crowd. They're the ones that make us feel 10-foot tall and bulletproof.
Nice. Awesome. Hell yeah. And then we'll hit this one more time. On February 22nd, Shaw's Bar and Grill, 1520. I can't fucking see it. 1528, I believe, University Avenue Northeast. That is Hollywood Boulevard. Rockin' cover band. And then.
Can I add one thing too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Also,
$5 cover, 8 p.m. start. So,
yep. So after that show,
Yeah.
on the 27th, I think we planned on the 27th, right?
I believe, is that set in stone? Do we know?
It might be. Okay. So as of right now, the plan is on the 27th, Thursday night,
Yeah.
So a week later.
we'll be doing 2 songs at Mad Mike's Open Jam
Okay.
with the new guitar player,
Oh, nice.
including one of the brand new songs.
At Route
Make sure
47.
you post it on your Facebook or,
Yep.
or how can people get a hold of your stuff, and how can people get a hold of if they want to book you?
Okay, so basically outlawsaint.net, singular, no the at the beginning, no S at the end, outlawsaint.net, facebook.com, Outlaw Saint, or just go on the website and we have links to our Facebook.
All your socials and stuff.
Yep. And our EPK is also up online as well. So
Awesome. Badass. Well, again, thank you guys for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best
Thank you for
of
having
luck on everything. I hope the guitar player works out, and hopefully the one that's leaving comes back, and then you got 2 guitar players that kick ass,
You never know.
and you got that
Never know.
thick sound. You know what I mean? and make sure you tap into that heavy groove again, man, because that's if you're noticing them getting down, that's a good sign to
Oh, for sure.
at least make an anthem that they cheer back at you, or do something. You know what I mean? Do something epic where they're like, we're going to pit. We're going to throw fucking horns up. You know what I mean? That's the best shit. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Another fantastic podcast. We're close. We're two more, and we're up into the 300, which is pretty awesome. I missed one last week. Apologies to Wolf Mask on that one. I got an infection in my leg, so I've been on some heavy antibiotics for the last 3 weeks, but I got sick as a dog, dude. It was like getting into my lymph nodes and my blood, and it was kind of nasty. So thank you, everybody, for listening and checking out the show. Make sure you check out Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, 3500 Minnehaha Avenue in Minneapolis, 612-353-4755, lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. Also, check out the Shred Den, www.theshredden.net. Give them a call, 763-350-2191. We're going to feel 10 foot tall and motherfucking bulletproof. Enjoy the tune. Make sure you go check out Outlaw Saint on Facebook and outlawsaint.net.
net.
Gotcha. All right, man. Enjoy. Thank you again, folks. Make sure you subscribe and like and all of that fancy stuff. Follow us on the socials. We's around. Check us out. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.
Music has effect, I can't help but love.
Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual